morning, YouTube viewers. Claire Lawrence here for a second episode of the Reactivity on the road. I'm really excited about this episode because this is probably by far one of my favourite places to go with my dogs. And this episode is the beach. Woohoo! More specifically, actually, a beach that I always tend to go to is called Talacre Beach. Talacre, I think Talacre Beach in Wales. I love it so much because it's so big and you can really get your own space on this beach. It's that big, and I was that confident that I had enough space that I've even had my lean, mean killing machine of a border terrier off lead, and I'm pretty sure he was unmuzzled on that beach, and there was other dogs around. That's how big, that's how confident I was that he was going to hang around with me. I think he was on the line, actually, long line, but irregardless, we were good. So that just tells you how much space you can get. What I wanted to say with this is I'm going to be hitting this beach at, it's now Thursday, just gone 7 a.m. in the morning. So I'm going to be leaving here within the next 10 to 15 minutes. So I'm going to probably be hitting that beach around 9-10 o'clock if I stop for a McDonald's. So we're going to be hitting it at a reasonable daylight hour time. However, it's on a Thursday. So if you remember from the first episode that I spoke about setting your dog up for success and hitting these places at times where it's going to be less busy, that's going to probably give you, I don't want to say guarantee because there's always the option of something going wrong, but it's going to give you a much better chance of succeeding if you hit it at a time where everybody else is not. I appreciate some people are going to say, well, I work like Monday to Friday, Claire. I can only go Saturday, Sundays. That's fine. And that's cool because I have a solution for that too. With anything, we have to make some sacrifices. So when I used to go to the beach in the heavy reactivity days, like see a dog, smell a dog, blah, 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 I would leave here at like 3-4 o'clock in the morning, or leave home at 3-4 o'clock in the morning. And I would get to the beach for 5-6 o'clock in the morning, and I would have that whole entire beach to myself. So that sacrifice that I made of getting up out of the average time paid off for us, because it meant that I could relax, it meant that my dogs could relax and have a good time, and it meant that we just had a brilliant day. And by the time we were done at, I don't know, 7, half 7, 7:45, then people started coming on, mostly locals with their dogs, and we were done, we could go. So there are things that you can do. As I said, there are just some sacrifices that we sometimes have to make to be successful. That said, if you've done a lot of reactivity training and you're perhaps a little bit further on in your progress, then by all means, get up at 7-8 o'clock, saunter on down to the beach when others are there, use it as an exposure session. Depends where you're at in your journey. So I'm going to quit rabbling now. I'm going to go and get my car loaded up with the things that we need. I'm not taking much. Literally, the boy can come now. He's back and able to wear a harness, so he's going to have his harness. We're going to have a couple of tennis balls that he loves. We're going to have a long training line and some equipment that's going to help you on this beach, and a towel, definitely a towel. I don't know about anybody else, but the sand that boy collects goes all over my car. So without further ado, let's get cracking. Let's get in the car. Let's go and get a McDonald's. Okay, so we've just arrived at Talacre. For some reason, the gate to the beach isn't actually open. So we've just had to park a little bit further down, which means we've got a little bit of a walk to go to the beach. I guess I'll check in with you once I've got my kit sorted, got him hooked up, and we actually get there. Onto the beach. Now, for most beaches, they'll have a main entrance. We went through that. We followed a couple of dogs in. I wasn't too concerned about it. But if you are concerned about it, then there are normally sand dunes that go over and into the beach. Find a suitable route for your dogs. But we made it on, and we just start
our training with some capturing. So if he's walking nicely next to me, he's checking in with me, I'm going to give him a reward. And the reason I want that is because it's very tempting to just kind of get your dog on the beach, let them go hell for leather and have a great time, obviously. But what I prefer to do is keep that dog's attention with me, because if we do come up against something and my dog's way out away from me, we're going to be in trouble. We can then start to allow more freedom. So for you, you could toss a treat out or a ball out. If you want to, you can keep hold of the long line. I'm going to speak about that in a second. But then we start letting the dog venture out and checking out their environment and making sure that they feel safe and that they're comfortable within it. As I just mentioned, the long line that I have on this dog allows them to be able to have more freedom without being completely off the lead. That means if you're not very trusting of your dog, then long lines can be really useful to use. What I would say is that they do take some skill in handling, and you want to make sure where you can that the lines are not tangled around the dog's legs. This really allows for your dog to have more freedom on an area like a beach, and as you can see, we've got loads of space. So another reason that the long line is on is because if you've got a reactive dog, generally speaking, their recalls aren't brilliant either. And we want to make sure that when we do see dogs, that we do have control of ours. Now, of all my time coming to this beach, I've really found people respectful and they've not let their dogs intrude on our space. However, I'm not sure whether that's because of the breed that I own. But what I do when I do see a dog is I will always let the dog look. When they've looked, what they tend to do is they naturally check away from the dog. You have to at all times make sure that you've got enough space. If you're on top of another dog, the chances of your reactions are going to go up. But the more space that you have, the chance of your dog reacting actually goes down. When they naturally check away from those dogs, you can mark and reward them and give them something super tasty. And this is all happening while you're trying not to be swept away by sea. I will almost always encourage a dog to sniff, and the new environment should play into your favour. There's lots of smells, the dog's keeping their heads down, and this can be a really useful skill for getting past those tighter quarters or them ignoring other dogs. Again, I think just because of the breed I own that I don't actually fall victim to this very often. However, if I do ever find myself in a situation where I think a dog's coming too close, or perhaps they're walking on the same path as I am and they're going to intrude on our space, I just turn around. Remember, we should be hitting these beaches at a more suitable and appropriate time for the skill level of your dog. So you should have plenty of space to be able to avoid other dogs if you choose to. There are, of course, always exceptions to the rule, so I would be teaching a really strong, reliable U-turn, this way, let's go, come on, let's get out of here, and getting yourself more distance away from the other dogs. This can usually be picked up by the other owner and they can become respectful of your space. We have this phrase in our elite program that it's going to be the last 10 minutes that gets you, so let's get you out safely. As I said earlier, most beaches have multiple entrance and exit points. This particular beach has sand dunes on the way out, so we took ourselves up over the hill and away through the sand dunes, right the way back to the car park. Now, there may be unknown spots or places where you're going to hit narrow points. What I like to do is actually use a loop around the dog's shoulders, which is a Tellington T-touch method to help keep the dog close, but also ensure I haven't got lead slacking on those narrower exit points out of there. If we do see a dog, this can be really useful as well because it attaches onto the nervous system of the dog. What you'll also notice is that my dog is wearing a haltie. He doesn't particularly need this, but for the purpose of this filming, a haltie can really help you to better manage their behaviour and keep control of where their head is. What I would recommend is that you condition the haltie so that your dog enjoys wearing it first. Overall, the beach offers loads of space, and I really hope that you can get out there and go and enjoy some time on the beach with your dog. If you've enjoyed this series and you'd like to know a little bit more about how you can potentially work with us or find out more to help your reactive dogs in a more personalised format, then you can head to the website, which is www.highpeakdogservices.co.uk/reboot-2022. To make that link a lot easier, I'll pop it in the comments below. I'll see you on the next show, guys. We're going to be heading to the pub.